You ever notice how marshmallows seem to have only two destinies? Either they sit pale and stubborn on the stick, no matter how long you hover them over the coals, or, more often, they explode into a fiery torch the moment you look away. I swear, no matter how many trips I've taken, no matter how carefully we all promise ourselves to roast, not burn, it always ends the same. I remember one night in particular. We'd set up camp in the pines near a lazy bend in the river. The fire was good, steady, low flames, glowing orange coals at the base, the sort of fire that seems perfect for marshmallows. The kids were giddy, sticks sharpened, bags of marshmallows torn open like treasure. I even gave a little lecture. Patience, that's the key. Slow roasting. They all nodded solemnly, as if this time would be different. But patience has never been a friend of the campfire. The first marshmallow lasted about 20 seconds before somebody stuck theirs right into the flames. Whoosh, up it went, a miniature comet blazing against the dark. And then, of course, it had to be waved around in panic, scattering sparks while everyone shouted, "Blow it out! Blow it out!" The poor marshmallow, once rescued, looked like a lump of coal hanging off the stick, but that didn't stop anyone from eating it anyway. It didn't matter how many warnings I gave, or how carefully I demonstrated the slow turn above the coals. Every single person ended up with at least one charred, blistered marshmallow, usually after swearing up and down they'd get it right this time. It was almost like the fire had its own sense of humor, lying in wait for that one careless second when someone turned their head to laugh or to grab the chocolate. That's when the marshmallow would ignite, and suddenly the quiet night filled with laughter, groans, and the smell of burnt sugar. That first round set the tone. The fire became less a tool for cooking and more a prankster, daring each of us to try again. By the end of the night, we had more blackened marshmallows than golden brown ones, but the laughter that rose up around the fire was worth every charred bite. Now, I'll admit, I was feeling a little smug that night. After all, I'd been roasting marshmallows since before some of those kids were even born. I knew the trick. Hold the stick steady. I hadn't noticed was a tiny draft weaving through camp. It slipped past my shoulder, snuck down to the fire, and licked my marshmallow with just enough heat to catch it. I didn't see the spark. Oh no, it waited until I leaned back, smiled confidently, and said, "Now this, kids, is how you do it." That's when it burst into flames. And not just a little flame, mind you. This marshmallow turned into a torch, a beacon of fiery sugar blazing at the end of my stick. The kids roared with laughter, clutching their sides, pointing at me, the supposed expert, while I flailed the stick about like I was trying to ward off a bear. Bits of molten sugar drift and hissed in the dirt as I tried to blow it out, but the thing clung to life like it had a grudge against me personally. When it finally gave up, what remained on the stick was a blackened husk, steaming like a coal. I stood there staring at it while the kids howled. One of them shouted, "Great job, Mr. Marshmallow Master!" And that name stuck for the rest of the trip. I didn't live it down, not once. Funny thing is, when I finally peeled off the charred shell, the inside was soft and gooey, sweeter than ever. I took a bite, shrugged, and said, "Perfect. Exactly how I planned it." But nobody bought it. You'd think the marshmallow humiliation would have been the climax of the evening, but no. The fire wasn't done playing tricks on us. After my flaming torch episode, everyone doubled down, determined to beat the so-called marshmallow curse. The laughter had turned into a sort of challenge. Who could roast one to perfection without setting it ablaze? One of the older boys, Tyler, swore he had the technique. He held his marshmallow out with the same kind of exaggerated care I had shown, his tongue sticking out the side of his mouth in concentration. Everyone leaned in close, eager to see if he'd break the streak. Sure enough, after a long few minutes, his marshmallow started to turn the perfect shade of gold. He beamed, proud as could be, until the stick itself dried from the fires what I could, brushing them off, while everyone else was doubled over laughing. One girl pointed at the sky and said, "Look, it's raining marshmallows." And sure enough, her brother was tossing the unsalvageable ones up just to watch them plop into the fire, sending sparks flying like fireworks. By that point, there was no denying it. The marshmallows had become less of a snack and more of a spectacle. It wasn't about eating anymore. It was about seeing who could create the biggest flame, the funniest accident, or the most outrageous excuse for still eating a burnt lump of sugar. The whole campsite rang with laughter, a chorus of voices echoing into the trees and bouncing back like the forest itself was laughing with us. And me? I leaned back in my chair, shaking my head, sticky fingers gripping the last half-burnt marshmallow on my stick. I realized then that marshmallows were never meant to be roasted perfectly. They were meant to be torches, dropped messes, and excuses for laughter. Now here's where the night took a turn none of us expected. We'd made such a racket with our laughter and shrieking over flaming marshmallows that the whole forest must have known exactly where we were camped. The fire was crackling, sticky marshmallow goo clung to the ends of sticks and fingers, and the smell of burnt sugar hung heavy in the air. That's when I heard it, the faint crunch of leaves beyond the ring of firelight. At first, I thought it was just one of the kids sneaking off to grab more chocolate or graham crackers. But then it came again, slow and deliberate. The kids hushed at once, as if they'd all felt it too. The way sound carries differently when it isn't coming from a friend, but from something else out there in the dark. We froze, sticks still in hand, faces glowing in the orange light. Then, from the shadows just past the trees, came the unmistakable sound of sniffing. Long, slow snuffles, like something testing the air. My stomach tightened. Out here, that sound could mean a raccoon, or it could mean something much larger. The youngest kid whispered, "There?" And the way his voice cracked set every other heart pounding. I motioned for everyone to stay quiet. The firelight flickered against the tree trunks, returning, just the steady chorus of crickets and the hiss of our fire. Finally, one of the girls whispered, "Guess bears don't like burnt marshmallows either." The tension broke like a dam. Laughter poured out of us, nervous at first and then rolling, full and unstoppable. We laughed so hard tears streaked our cheeks, partly from relief, partly from the absurdity of it all. What had started as a marshmallow roasting contest had nearly turned into a wildlife encounter. From then on, the kids kept tossing blackened marshmallows into the trees like offerings. "Here you go, Mr. Bear," one of them called. "Don't eat us, take the crispy ones." It was silly, reckless even, but in that moment it felt like we'd made peace with the night, trading our burnt sugar sacrifices for safe passage till morning. Morning came soft and quiet, the kind of dawn that feels like a fresh page. The embers of our fire still glowed faintly, and the sweet, acrid scent of charred marshmallow lingered in the air like a reminder of the chaos we'd stirred up. I walked down to the river to splash my face, and when I came back, I found the kids poking through the ashes, comparing the remains of their creations like little archaeologists of burnt sugar. Nobody was talking about perfect golden marshmallows anymore. Instead, they were swapping stories about whose torch had burned the brightest, who had dropped the most in the dirt, and who had nearly set their sleeve on fire. Even the bear scare from the night before had been transformed into legend. "Remember when Mr. Marshmallow Master almost fed us to a grizzly?" one of them said, and the whole group erupted in laughter all over again. I couldn't help but smile. That's the thing about camping. It strips everything down. No screens, no busy schedules, no distractions. Just firelight, laughter, a bit of fear, and the kind of memories that stick longer than the marshmallow goo on your fingers. Nobody remembered the ones that roasted just right, but every single kid would go home telling the story of the flaming marshmallows, the bear in the dark, and the night they laughed so hard their stomachs ached. As we packed up, I thought about sore from laughter and a pocket full of sticky wrappers. I learned something simple. Sometimes the best way to roast a marshmallow is to let it catch fire.